So good morning, everybody. My name is Shraddha Ghosh, and I'm the founder of PIXALEARN. I'm also the lead faculty for the US CPA course. Today, we're joined by Sharad. Sharad was the first batch candidate for us, one of the most serious guys who I would come across, and a very hardworking student. So today, we are going to talk about his journey through US CPA, all the four papers, and his journey with PIXALEARN in the hope that if there are others who are in a similar situation and if who are struggling or if you're looking for some kind of a hope, then his message can reach out to everybody. So thank you so much, Sharad, for joining us today and doing this for all of us. And as I told you before, the idea of these sessions is to reach out to as many students as possible in their journey of whether they want to decide to embark on the USCPA journey, or even when they are thinking of giving them some kind of a hope through this process. Okay. So before we start anything, we would want to first know about you, about your journey. How did you start? What are you doing right now? Tell us something about yourself.
Sure. So, as you know, my name is Sharad Sharma, and I belong to Rajasthan, Jaipur. Currently residing in Gurgaon and working with United Health Group, which is a Fortune fourth organization amongst the Fortune 500 companies. Currently associated as an associate director for finance and accounting organization. Uh, yeah, in terms of my family, I have two kids, son 14 years, daughter 10 years. My wife is a teacher, uh, and I am a certified public accountant,
Yeah.
licensed, and thanks to PIXALEARN.
Okay. Sharad, when did you join this course and what was your motivation behind joining the course?
So I remember in my past organization, my senior was doing this course, and I was struggling to upskill myself. I was trying to look here and there for certain courses which can give a boost to my career.
Mhm.
When I saw him and the way the course was designed, I got a coaching from him, and I asked him, can I do that? So he did some coaching for me. He was a faculty as well in one of the institutions, but he gave some material to go, and I found it very concise and crisp in terms of in comparison to the traditional study material that we have in other courses. So and it was really a basic to advanced study that will really help you to stabilize yourself in the industry. So I decided to do that in 2018. At the time, the examination used to happen pre-COVID in US and Dubai. But I decided that yes, I'll do this course and I'll be able to make it because I was strong in accounting during my academics. So I started that. Then 1.5 year I prepared, but unfortunately COVID hit and entire morale was down. But after COVID, we had a boost when we got to know that the examination is going to happen in India, because going to US and settle down for examination is a different thing. So it was a booster. Plus, I was half prepared for the examination. So I restarted my journey, and then I cleared my two papers. Then I had a break because I didn't had a good faculty at the time. I did not find a way to how to study, but again restarted. So I would say it's not an easy journey, but you have to keep going. You have to decide, and you have to be determined. And finally, when I joined PIXALEARN under your mentorship, I was able to do that. But yeah, it's not easy, but you have to be determined. You have to decide that you will devote certain time and energy towards it, and it will give you a different boost and visibility in the industry.
Okay. So it's been kind of what, 1.5 years, 2 years since you qualified? Uh,
Now,
Around
yeah,
1.5 years, right? So do you think what you were expecting out of this course, it has given you that kind of a foothold, or what has, like, there was an expectation, now there's a reality moving in. What is a mismatch? Or are you happy with how your career is shaping up?
so people thinks like if I get certified through CPA, or if I get a license, I'll get double the hike. But that is not the only growth you should think of it. But the growth is when you feel confident while sitting in certain groups between accountant, when you are driving certain projects for accounting, audits, taxation, etc. you'll have that level of understanding which is desired as an expert in today's world.
Hmm.
So yes, after completing my course, I was able to materialize my learning and understanding, and obviously the growth, material growth is also there in terms of growth and monetary benefits. So yes, I'm on positive note.
Okay, Sharad, I wanted to ask you something, and this is something a lot of students have been asking me that is it a absolute necessity to have a degree like a CA? Like people say that there's an obvious advantage if you are a chartered accountant, and then when you take a CPA, if I'm not wrong, you did MBA, right? You may I know your credentials before you started on your US CPA journey, and now since you're through with this. I would want you to reach out to as many students as possible who are not CAs and who are still taking that time to decide whether US CPA is a doable thing for them or not. What do you say?
So I'm not a CA. I started CA and I left it in mid journey because that is a traditional course and there is no parity between CA and CPA. And this is a myth that if you are a CA, it is easy to do CPA. Obviously, you will have certain funda, but uh, if I compare the study material of CPA, if you are serious during your academics in graduation and post graduation, if you continue and connect with that advanced level of those materials, you will be able to relate to CPA study materials and contents. So no, CA is not a qualifier, or I would say add-on advantage to CPA. A person who is having mastery, because mastery is a qualifier for CPA. So yes, you can do that.
Okay.
In terms
Uh,
of my credentials, so yes, I got more than 85% in all the papers, and it was one kick go for all
yeah,
total.
that I know that you in fact I as I was telling everybody that you've been a very serious student and a student who would know where is the gap and you wouldn't mind working very hard to bridge that gap.
Right.
So frankly speaking, as a mentor, I could really understand where you are, where do you need help, and you were very vocal in understanding and communicating that also. That see, this is where the gap is, and this is where we have to fill this up. Okay. May I know what material you were following and how did you use the Pixel classes in your preparation journey?
So if I remember well, material wise, and I keep talking to my colleagues as well. I was stick to one of the material that was Becker at that time. And
Hmm.
you told me as a mentor, you told me that please stick to this material only. And I keep advising people who are looking towards here and there in YouTube or in social media, and they were getting influenced by certain videos that if you go through this material, that material, you'll clear the examination in one go. But that's a myth. Uh, my experience is CPA is not going to make you an expert. Your mindset should be like, I'm not going doing this course to become an expert, but I need to qualify the examination. And that is something I learned from you, right? So I was very much stick to my material to Becker. And then later on, when I joined PIXALEARN with you, uh, the notes, the concise notes that you have provided me were
Hmm.
really helpful. It was a game changer. If I talk about audits, even in Becker, you used to provide your own material. So uh, sorry, in education, when you were there as a faculty, you were used to provide your own materials and notes, and those are very concise. Concise means those were from basics, starting from basics. And if your basic fundas are very clear, you will be able to relate things very easily, even at advanced level. I still remember the example you used to share of Netflix for revenue recognition. So
Hmm.
whenever I keep working in live world for revenue recognition, I start thinking about that example. So that level of material that PIXALEARN has provided in for regulation, for audit, for taxation, for BEC, etc., were really helpful for me. And I never looked at other materials outside the PIXALEARN.
But do you think you had any difficulty in pairing Pixel with whatever base material you were following? Like for in your own case, you were following Becker. But did you have any difficulty in connecting the Pixel material with the Becker material?
No, so as I said, I didn't go out of Becker, but I didn't find any imparity between PIXALEARN and Becker material, and I was able to relate that. And I keep talking to people who are enrolled with other institutions, and when I see their material just for reference, I'm able to relate very much. with PIXALEARN with those materials.
Okay. Uh, so let's see if you're talking to somebody who is a CP aspirant in front of you. Okay. So is there any advice that you would want to give him specifically? Let's say if we talk about subject wise, 4 subjects, any specific advice that you would want to give, which you would have thought that if somebody would have told me all of these before I started the journey, I would have been better prepared, or something that you would want to warn others from the mistakes that you have made.
Yes. So first, subject-wise advice would be for regulation. It is an interesting. It has interesting content, but so many topics to learn and remember. So many formulas are there. So we have to try maximize our memorizing skills, and don't try to be expert or tax expert just by referring to that material. The funda should be to clear the examination. Audit is a bit very much conceptual, I would say. The best way to prepare for an exam is to take practice tests as much as you can, and think from an auditor perspective. Means not a typical audit, but just a quality checker. If you think from that perspective, in a different directional testing, etc., so you will be able to clear the paper. So what people try to do is they start basics from the material, and then they go advanced level, referring to other sources, and then they get confused. And in examination, definitely the content will be coming up from the material that is provided by any provider. Far, I struggled because it was very lengthy, but many common topics which you all know from your graduation, post graduation. So divide those in milestones, and I would say prepare in part and join the dots later on before the examination. BEC, when I was preparing for BEC, it was at a change mode, so I struggled a bit. But now in BEC, you have three options. So you need to decide whether you are going to take bar, whether you are going to take ISC or TCP according to your interest level. So at that time, it was combined paper, so I never had a chance to struggle there. But just because everyone was trying to complete that paper because of that upcoming change, there was uh, high cutoff, and then that's why I struggle a lot. But it's really interesting content that we have for BEC. So I would say it's easy to do that, similar to the business studies we do in graduation and post graduation. It adds on economics as well, so that is an interesting area in BC apart from the other boring topics.
Okay. They still have economics in the bar section even now. So what we used to do earlier in fact, bar has become a very interesting paper actually. It is an advanced FAR now. Along with it, they've taken costing, they've taken financial analysis, and they've taken the economics. So if you would mix a part of FAR and if you would mix the entire part of BC except IT, that is what is bar right now, frankly. Uh,
The other question I didn't answer regarding the mistakes that I made, and
yeah.
I believe in sharing the experience. So the biggest mistake I made is I took so many breaks because of personal maybe some reason, and had to restart again and again. One common and obvious reason was COVID, and that was unavoidable. But this no timeline. You sometimes you become lazy, so you don't do that, and make a plan and be stick to yourself and your timelines, and divide this strategy accordingly. So yes, take breaks. Obvious breaks are required, but not too much where you have to go back and restart again. So yeah, if you go consistently with some, obviously breaks are important, but take genuine breaks and keep going. That will help you.
See, I also agree to what you're saying. In my experience of so many years being a mentor in this field, I feel if you're consistent, try to finish this paper in around 13-14 months time. Don't take anything beyond that. The biggest struggle is generally in the first paper because you're apprehensive about how you would perform. But the moment you clear the first paper, after that, you know now what is needed to crack the other 3 papers. So I really don't believe in keeping a lot of breaks in between. I feel have a consistent routine and then just do it for the first time. And the first time when you crack your paper, just repeat it for the next 3 times. As simple as that. because
True.
the more delay you have, no, especially because of the fact that you're a working professional having a family, the moment you take a break, then it again takes a lot of time to pull you back and prepare you in that mentality that you have to stretch yourself for next couple of months. So no breaks. I feel if you are into this, finish this. don't uh,
In,
don't
in
delay.
recent times, sorry to cut you short, but in recent times, the biggest thing is I think you have a time period of 36 months once you complete your first paper, which
Ah,
should
okay.
we should not leverage that because I remember when I was doing it, it was 18 months, and that is fair enough time once you prepare. So I would say first 6 months to 1 year you take for preparation and your paperwork, and then next 1 year to 15 months you should target all the papers to be clear.
What paperwork? What paperwork needs 15 months, Sharad? No, it does
No,
not take so much. Paperwork, we do it parallelly. Okay. Nowadays, at our institute, at least we 3.5 months, the moment you join, and within 3.5 months, I make you write your first paper. Paperwork does not. See, you have to do it parallelly. You should not delay so much because then, see, the impetus that you had, you're going to lose all of that steam by the time 1 year goes away. So
correct, correct.
I feel it's very important that with the current structure now, most of the people who are opting for this course are working professionals. I feel the moment you join, immediately do the part of paperwork and then attempt to write the first paper. So study with me. That is the idea that we are trying to figure out because otherwise, I lose track of what you're doing. So I
Correct.
generally feel take a paper every 3.5 months and finish this off in around 13 months to 14 months time, not more than that. So this
True.
36 months that you were saying, Sharad, when I sat for my paper, we used to go to US to write the papers. So during art and the corporate world was also not so cooperative. Like I had had word with you a couple of times and you told me that your office was very cooperative. In my
True.
case, we could not even tell it to our office that we are, we could not inform in our office. So when we started giving, we gave 4 papers at one go because we could get only a leave of, let's say, 15 days or 16 days at the max. So the more
Correct.
you allow yourself to warm up to this entire thing, the worse it is going to become. So the more
Exactly.
relaxed you become, the more difficult it becomes. It's easier to finish it off one go at a time when you're serious rather than prolonging it. And nowadays, frankly speaking, if you are proactive and if you get good guidance, there's no reason why you would not be able to finish it in 14 months.
True. True. And you touched that topic that the corporate world. So yes, I would say it's not only corporate world, but you need an entire support center to clear such examinations. So that starts from your a mentor as a teacher, which is PIXALEARN, and in my case that was you. Then you have to have support from your family as well, from your spouse, from your kids, from your parents, or whosoever there is. Uh, I still remember my kids used to print my notes on during the weekends. They print around 500 to 700 pages because I didn't have time to flip the pages and see which number is there and all. So they helped me. My wife used to take care of entire homework and all. My parents used to allow me to get away from the social responsibilities and coming back to the corporate world. So my not only my seniors leadership, but my team, my peers, and thanks to my boss who encouraged me enough to clear these examinations. So this is entire support center you need to get successful in this journey.
So, Sharad, a lot of students who join me, who call me nowadays, when they are exploring whether they want to take CP or not, they want to know how much effort they have to put. So, I get questions regarding how many hours you think we need to put, okay, to get this course. So, on an average, now since you've gone through your journey, on a weekly basis, because that's something that we promote, that you plan your studies on a weekly basis. The reason why we have early morning classes is because I feel that weekends you should give at least half a day study and then the other half of the weekend you just enjoy because otherwise you can't consistently do it for so many months at a stretch, right? So if you were to ask, let's say if I'm a person who's just contemplating whether I should join ahead this course, what is the amount of time, dedication that you're thinking that person would take, assuming that person is having a family and also working? So, what is the time duration you think on a weekly basis that you feel is good enough for this course?
So once you enroll for this course, my experience is if you spend 2 to 3 hours during your weekdays and serious 5 hours. which includes your test and other preparation apart from reading during weekends is enough. Uh, in
Mhm.
comparison to CPA, if I say people keep studying entire day and night, but in CPA, if you are seriously devoting 2 to 3 hours on a during weekdays and maximum 5 hours during weekends, that will be enough. And I want to call out that point as well. When I was in other institution, Eduprestin, we used to have weekend classes, and that was for and I keep hearing from people that people used to avoid those classes due to some reason because they want time off. Someone is having some responsibility to go out, and also weekend classes were not adding that much value. But PIXALEARN changed that mode to have weekdays classes during morning times, and which is most energetic and serious time to study. And we changed that, and that add value to our studies and the planning. So definitely you should spend time, but you have to devote serious hours, 2 to 3 hours during weekdays and 5 hours seriously to weekends. Because the force pushes you back to not do something when you try to do something productive, but you have to avoid that force for some time.
So we are actually looking at around 2 into 5, around 20 to 25 hours on a weekly basis. Correct?
And that's enough.
Yeah, so that's actually a lot, frankly. I just don't know whether people are going to freak out with this, but I generally say that anywhere between 18 to 22 hours is the timeline that I generally suggest to most of the students, because I feel that if you have taken this course, be consistent, because unlike any other course we have in India, where generally we have a lot of memory testing also, where your remembering and testing skills are emphasized. The biggest advantage of a CPA, it's a very live paper. So if you understand the concept, if you worked, and you have to have coverage, right? We cannot do any kind of a selective study that we need this topic or you need that topic. So if you have
True.
to take coverage, if you have to be 100% prepared and the pass marks are really high, so you need consistent, you need consistent practice, and also you need to be exam ready. Otherwise, uh, sitting for the exam in 3.5 months and sitting there now is 6 or 7 months each paper. Time will just
Right.
flow by. So I think the biggest change in this course compared to any other course is your planning and your consistency. If you're consistent, I think that makes a huge difference. How
That
disciplined you are, that I think makes a very big difference in this course compared to any other course. Yeah, of course, the mode of studying, linking of the concepts, all of that is there. But the biggest differentiator is the consistency of studies, I feel.
and
You
that's what I said. Serious few hours.
exactly. So that is very important. Without that, so I feel, if most of the students whom I come across now, especially at our institute where we really emphasize that 3.5 months, you write one paper. I'm seeing that, that's helping because students are taking time, 2 weeks, 3 weeks time. But once they get into that mode, after that, it's easier for them because they're just sitting for one paper at a time and then they're completing the course with us. So that was really good. Okay. One thing I want to know is, I'll tell you, share you my journey also. But after sitting for this course, now for you, it was like what, a journey of around 3.5 years, right? If I take the break and everything. So, do you think because of taking this course, there's something that this course has changed in you that is going to stay with you forever? Did you have any such realization that because I've consistently worked for US CPA, there's something that has changed in me that is going to be there with me forever? Anything like that?
Yes. So I removed the obstacle of impossible thing in mindset that people keep thinking like if you're a family man, if you're a working professional, you cannot take out time uh, to study and you cannot complete that. And that's a myth as per my experience. And that's something I learned. Now after completing CPA, if you ask me to do some other courses, I'll definitely encourage myself by giving that example of that time frame. I would be able to do that. In terms of the knowledge advancement, definitely, I can fit in anywhere, and that's not only because I cleared the examination. That is because I had a good mentor, which was not just a teacher from PIXALEARN, and the material that PIXALEARN has provided me. So that is in my blood right now. So I can fit in myself in anywhere in accounting, auditing, taxation, uh, and that is because you told me during the starting of the journey when you're framing this PIXALEARN and all that I would start. the study material from basics. I would focus on basics so that it will retain forever in you, and that work, and that is still there in me. So
And that feels so good to hear, Sharad, because I'm a very firm believer that if I just have to teach you to clear the exam and get over with this, then that's a very small limit that I've set for myself. At least the core, the fundamental should be so clear after you've completed this course that that should stay with you forever. Otherwise,
exactly,
then what is the point of that learning, right? So it feels so good to now hear that it is actually working for you in your later, in your office life also. That is such a good thing to know, because
right,
actually, the reason why the reason why this entire material were created and the entire structure of the curriculum was laid was to help students have something with them which they're going to use long after the course, long after you clear the CPA course. So I think that is a huge relief to know that actually that has stayed. I
right.
remember you calling me a couple of months back. What if I forget all of this? You remember you asked me, what if I forget all of this? But the kind of effort that you have put, especially in linking, cross-linking the topics, and a lot of students, the mistakes that you were talking about. I've seen a lot of students actually dropping out of the course because of those mistakes. They
Oh,
get into tax, and especially this is, tax is very prone to this because that's the first time you're doing something that you've never done before. Very
true.
interesting. And a lot of data is in public domain. You can just go to the IRS website and you can download all the forms and you can get into the research mode. So
That's
first thing I always tell students that, learning will never forget. You'll never stop learning. So it's very important that right now you focus to clear your exam.
right.
Anything beyond that, you have the means, you do it whatever time you want. But right now, please get into your exam mode. Don't get into the research mode. And you were an epitome. You followed it to the letter T. So
Yes,
close your boundaries. That nowadays with so much of material available online, most people make this error. They are looking this. So half of the time goes in understanding what they are going to study. So that is
correct.
one of my endeavors, that you have to stop seeking material help from anywhere else. Focus, close your boundaries. I'll study only this much. I will think more. I will think more and study less and then sit and write my papers and get done with it. You know.
Yes,
So
exactly.
that I think is a very common mistake that a lot of people do. They spend a lot of their energy in making notes.
Right,
And especially as Indians, we're used to reading the hard copy, right? So for me,
right,
it is like a huge, gap that I have to tell the students that you spend all your time in working out the MCQs and the Sims rather than preparing notes and then making, detailed notes. You're not supposed to do that, right? Spend all your energy in the MC. But that is the biggest mistake that I have seen most students making. And
correct. And the
so,
big challenge right now is, as you said, there are so many resources available, and with Chat GPT coming into the picture, people will go into that and they will have so many things which is not relevant to this course. I would say that's an advanced level, but so we should close our boundaries. We should decide this is our area where we need to focus
exactly.
upon. Then we have to go forward.
And anyway, see, another thing that I see when a lot of people, when they make this mistake is when you study in silos, right? So, for instance, if I'm reading FAR, I'm going to talk about revenue recognition and then assets and then cash, debtors, like all of them I'll do separately. But you'll
Correct,
have to actually take conscious effort to start thinking of how one is linked to the other. What are the synergies between the topic? Okay.
correct,
Because see, when we sat for a paper, we studied all four papers and then we wrote our papers. But
true,
in your generation, since the papers are now in India, you're taking one paper at a time. So, anyways, those synergies are a little difficult to have before you sit for the papers. So, I
correct,
feel it's important to have less number of questions that you're doing, but you have to think a lot of how you're connecting the topics. Because if
ex-
that is not happening, which you would do, you remember you used to ask me questions about how is this related to this, why are we doing this. So, all of those questions I think are very important. Without that, it is very difficult to, especially nowadays when the paper has changed in its form, they are synergizing a lot of topics and the questions are coming like that, which before 2024 was not that evident, but now it is more and more evident in the examination hallers.
exactly.
Yeah. Um, any last words for our listeners, Sharad? Anything in the end that you would want to speak to them about?
I would say, because people in my organization and outside world, people keep reaching out to me and asking questions about how to start and what to do, how to plan and all. So my last words would be, first check your availability and do a rating check about the content. provider that you are choosing for a particular course, especially in CPA's case. Uh, Especially their faculties are not only through social media, Google, but talk to the people, take a rating check, talk to the people who had an experience of this journey. Go for an institution where you get end-to-end guidance and a mentorship. And the second word is really, really important, which I experience a lot. But example would be, as I said, PIXALEARN in my case, multiple cases in people whom I know who were there struggling with other institution, and then they joined us in PIXALEARN, and we were the first batch of PIXALEARN, and most of them have cleared, apart from few who had some personal challenges and could not clear. So those things they need to focus. And the last thing would be follow the instruction provided by your mentor rather than overthinking and challenging your own mentor, taking topics from different areas. Because I've seen few people, and we used to have a discussion. Obviously, that helped to clear some understanding, but that was irrelevant for this paper. So just avoid overthinking. You're not going to do a mastery, or you're not going to become expert by completing this course, but uh, your goal is obviously not to become expert but to clear the examination and strategize well. Don't start this course when you are struggling a lot in your personal professional world, but it is okay to have some time break, or a gap. Once you clear, means prioritize things, I would say in one word. So yeah, and it's not impossible. If I can do as a family man, having corporate responsibilities and all, you can also do that. But have a clear conversation with all the support center uh, stakeholders that I said, your corporate, your personal, your mentors, and then start thinking about doing this. So, and then at the last, I would say, uh, thanks to you. Doesn't matter which institutions I've gone through, but you are the person who motivated me and other students to appear for this examination and to strategize the way we should go ahead and appear for the paper. There were few individuals who could not clear in one go, but you never let them go down. You keep talking to them personally. You keep calling them during weekends and motivate them to appear, reappear, restart, and which gives a different energy to people, right? And which is different than other institutions. So I would recommend plan and strategize in a better way and choose an institution and mentor like Exceler and Shraddha Ghosh.
Thank you so much, Sharad. This is like I am feeling overwhelmed now. Thank you so much. Okay. Okay, I'll cut all